Welcome to the Prophecy Club. Our topic today is, will the E.A.S, the Emergency Alert System, begin the Marine arrests of some 50,707 U.S. leaders? Let me refresh your memory. Pastor Massey said that the Lord told him that the U.S. military will come in and help Trump to take control of the public. The public will go out of order. Now, he was told this back in 2017. Let me also refresh your memory. Terry Bennett, and this was given to him back in 2010, okay? And I'm not saying this from secular sources. I'm not saying what I'm about to say from news sources. These two sources I'm starting with are simply people that hear the Lord. Terry Bennett was told what the United States is going to go through is civil conflict, civil war, then invasion. I saw in the governmental area that we will go through dramatic change in our government. Now, we want to think that that's sort of already happened, but apparently not to the level he's talking about. And there would be a time of anarchy and chaos. For a while, we'll have a fractional government, which means basically our government will come down to the state level because of the military stepping in and having to, listen to this, seize control of our federal government. You'd call it a coup, but in all honesty, it would be to help our nation. That's why the military will step in. Now, let me explain a couple of things here, because I think that's very, very powerful and prophetic. A dramatic change is going to come to our government, and there would be a time of anarchy and chaos. Question: if 44,000 Marines were to round up and arrest some 50,000 U.S. leaders, take them off to the Gitmo and to the Atoll and to the Diego Garcia prison islands, they have no representation. They are standing trial in a military tribunal, and they have to really answer for their crimes. Do you think that that would fit that description of dramatic change in our government? Would there be a time of anarchy and chaos, 50,000 corrupt leaders, business as well as government, banking, all across our nation, all rounded up, probably within like a 48 to 120 hour period? In other words, 3-4, within a week. Okay, would that cause a fractional government? Which means basically the federal government would have to come down to the state level, meaning that basically the federal government was decapitated because of the military stepping in and having to seize control of our federal government. Would you call that seizing control of our federal government? You'd call it a coup, but in all honesty, it will be to help our nation. That's why the military will step in. Again, I didn't say that. That's Terry Bennett, and he said that back in 2010. Now, I've gone into this in other broadcasts. I've actually got about 4 or 5 people that are confirming that, but that's not the point of this broadcast. We got too much other things to cover to go into all of the various people that have heard from the Lord that basically says that one way or another, you want to cap it that way, some 50,000 U.S. leaders are going to be rounded up. But let's jump back to July the 2nd. This comes from Michael Sala at expopolitics.org. Headline: QAnon links U.S. attorney with thousands of sealed indictments decimating the deep state. All right, first of all, who's QAnon? I think he is someone in the White House, based upon, and I've got to where I read QAnon now every day, and I'm going to read some of them. We're going to talk about it. But I think it is not Donald Trump, but I do think it is someone that touches his desk. I mean, he is physically close enough to touch his desk on a daily basis. I think he's probably one of the cabinet ministers based upon, look, the day that they took out all the satellites, he posted it like, okay, they took out one satellite. The next minute they took out another satellite. 2 minutes later, he's posting, they took out another satellite. Okay, you got to have connections. You got to have connections to the White House desk. in order to be able to say that. I do not think it's Donald Trump. I think it's one of his cabinet members. Okay, so let me get to the article. In a July post, QAnon referred to the latest count of over 40,000, now it's up to 50,000, sealed indictments filed in U.S. federal district courts since October 30, 2017, and linked these to prosecutions being led by the U.S. Attorney for Utah, John Huber. Attorney General Jeff Sessions, which, by the way, QAnon says trust Sessions, trust Huber, as I've made a whole broadcast saying I do not think Jeff Sessions is asleep at the wheel. I think it is all part of a Trump-Sessions plot to cut off the evil out of our nation. Now, you remember Jeremiah 51 verse 9 says, see, look, brothers and sisters, if this doesn't line up with Bible prophecy, you throw it out. If it doesn't line up with what the modern prophets are hearing from God, you throw it out. But when you got 4 or 5 modern prophets saying this is coming, when it lines up with Bible prophecy, even though the news sources want to poo-poo it, as a prophecy student, as someone that believes and knows the Bible, we sit and pay attention. We bend our ears forward and we say, okay, brother, tell me more. That's where we are with this broadcast. We know things that the news, we know things that Donald Trump doesn't know because we know Bible prophecy. You understand that, okay? Let's go on. So Jeff Sessions anointed Huber back November 13, 2017, to work with the Department of Justice Inspector General Michael Horowitz in investigating a wide range of criminal and civil law violations government employees brought up by Republican lawmakers. Now, I've got 2 or 3 more paragraphs here. I'd love to read them. I've read them in past broadcasts, but I got too much other stuff to tell you today. So now let's jump to September 18, 2018. Headline, September 16, presidential alert. Trump text slides to October 3rd. Now, believe it or not, I'm about to read an article from the Communist News Network, CNN. But from everything I've read out there, it is the best summary of what is about to happen. And that's why I'm bringing it to you. Now, check this out. This is accurate. So it says, FEMA to test presidential alert text system. Washington, CNN. You'll soon be getting a message on your phone from the President of the United States, whether you're a supporter or not. It's not a political message, but an emergency test message from the President of the United States as part of the Federal Emergency Management Agency's system to warn the public in cases of national emergencies. Hear that word, national emergency. I'm going to say it again. Hear that word because I'm about to read that directly out of one of presidential executive orders, a national emergency. That's important. A majority of cell phone users will receive an alert Wednesday, October 3rd, with the header Presidential Alert and the message, this is a test of the National Wireless Emergency Alert System. No action is needed. The alert was initially scheduled to occur Thursday, September 20th. But FEMA spokesperson Mark Peterson tells CNN the test has been postponed, and October 3rd was an alternate date for the test. WEA was technically launched in April of 2012, but this will be the first time FEMA has actually tested the system. Okay, all right, hang on. What's going on with this test? Here's my question for this broadcast. Could it be the roundup of these 50,000 U.S. leaders, bankers, governmental leaders, business leaders? Could it be that this is the signal when they start getting rounded up? Now, I don't know for sure, but let me read to you what Q says. Now, I go check Q every day. I think he's credible. I've heard some people say, oh, yeah, well, you can't count on that. Oh, well, some of the things he says is not accurate. Well, I've been following him a while, and I can tell you that I can't guarantee everything he says is correct, but I can guarantee you the information he is giving us comes from the highest sources. You read him for a while, you'll see that. Now, you have to understand, he can't say things directly. He's revealing classified secrets in kind of a code. In other words, you got to read between the lines. But you see, we prophecy students, we have an advantage because we're not just looking at the Bible. We're not just listening to what the modern prophets say. We're also attuned to the news. And then when Q comes along, we can understand it. We can understand it better than probably even Q does sometimes. Okay, let's get to it here. So now, I got to read these in reverse because that's the way they're posted. So I'm going to back up here, and we're going to go forward from one of these posts. Now, this is September 17th. This was only 24. All of these are in the last 24 hours. Well, I'm making this on the 18th. So by the time you hear this, it'll be in the last 48 hours. Okay, September 17th. He says, attention on deck. Lock on target. Fire at will. Now, I take that to mean war is about to begin. I don't think this is war with Russia. I don't think it's war with Canada or Mexico. I think it's war with the deep state. Let's go to the next post. Anons picked up on the carpet bombs. For you and you alone. Fight, fight, fight. Now, I'm going to tell you, he's referring to the Emmy Awards where they were beating up on the Christians and everything. He's basically saying, brothers and sisters, don't worry. We got it. We got this thing. Everything's going to be okay. Next post. Now, sometimes the way he does it is he doesn't say anything. Instead, he'll just put up a Twitter feed or a Fox News article, or sometimes even a CNN article. In other words, the thing he's trying to say, he lets someone else say. So he puts up a Twitter feed here, and then you go to the Twitter feed, and here's the punchline. It says, Lisa Page and Bruce Orr have been cooperating witnesses. So, brothers and sisters, he's telling us, behind the scenes, these people are cooperating. Next line. At what point does it become mathematically impossible? He's trying to say, don't worry. We got your back. Next headline, or the next quote here, or the next post. You are learning. We will not fail you. The next one, it's another Twitter feed. And it says, we are all in this together. And this is President Trump himself saying this in the Twitter feed. We are all in this together, saluting one flag, singing one anthem, pledging allegiance to one nation under God. That's from the president. So what he's saying is, brothers and sisters, fellow brothers and sisters, Christians. He's saying Christians, my brothers and sisters, I'm with you. And then he has WWG1WGA, which means what was good for one was good for all. He's saying, Christians, don't worry. We got your back. Now let's go on to the next one. Another Twitter feed. This one says, Lisa Page testimony, no evidence of collusion before Mueller appointment. Then it has at Fox News with Catherine Herridge. Therefore, the case should never have been allowed to be brought. It is totally illegal witch hunt. Now, again, if you're reading for a while, you can tell, I don't think it's Trump, but I think it's someone right next to Trump. Then the next line says, do you believe in coincidences? Meaning, no, we don't believe in coincidences. So what he's saying is, this whole thing about this witch hunt, this whole thing, this Mueller thing, don't worry. It's going away. Next line, this is it, lads. And it's a picture of this guy, and he's hollering at this other person. It says, let me see your war face. So what he's saying is, we're about to go to war. This is all within 24 hours, brothers and sisters. He's saying the war is about to begin. What war? I think it's the roundup of the 50,000 corrupt individuals we've been talking about since January. Next line. Patriots in control. Goodbye, Mr. Mueller. Goodbye, Mr. Rosenstein. Next line on the next post. Activate Sessions. Activate Sessions. Again, Sessions is not the bad guy. He's not asleep at the wheel. He's the guy that brought on Huber that has 470, quote, dogged investigators that have rounded up these 50,000 indictments and soon to round up the people associated with them. So when he says activate sessions, what he's saying is the roundup is about to start. Next line, carpet bombs, Moab. Well, Moab, M-O-A-B, is the mother of all bombs. When he says carpet bombs, he's saying, you see those people out at the Emmy Awards the other night? They're about to be rounded up. Many of them about to be rounded up. Then next line, dark to light. More incriminating text releases coming. So he already knows more are coming. Next, D-class coming, question mark. Now again, this was the 17th. This was the day that they were actually released. So he knew that the declassification was in fact coming. Again, you gotta have a high connection for that, brothers and sisters. Next line, still September 17th. The world is watching. Then he has an article over to reddit.com, and it basically says 1.7 million people are checking his website. As a matter of fact, he's the number 7,000 website in America. And he only started, a year and a half ago? So to make it to number 7,000 out of all of the websites in America, that's saying something. A lot of people listening to him. Next headline, same day. Panic in D.C. D's, meaning the Democrats, offering to kill sexual assault allegation versus Judge K or Kavanaugh in exchange for immediate pullback of declassified documents. POTUS, Judge K will be confirmed regardless. So what it's saying is, behind the scenes, the Dems are offering to go ahead and approve Judge Kavanaugh if he will not declassify the documents. But he's not going along. He still has declassified them anyway. So again, this has to be somebody in a high position, brothers and sisters. Somebody on our side that is warning us and telling us the inside story, what's really going on. Same day, next post. Panic in D.C. RR Reg meeting number 2 with POTUS declined. Now here's what it's saying. Rod Rosenstein has requested for the second request, a meeting with POTUS. But POTUS is President of the United States, but Trump declined. Now, why does Rod Rosenstein want a meeting? I'll tell you why. He wants to go in and get on his knees before the president with his hands in a prayer position under his chin, begging, please do not make us declassify these documents, or it's going to show that we are corrupt individuals and that we had a plot against you to stop you from winning the election and then to try to take you out once you did get in. Please don't reveal the dirt under our fingernails. And POTUS said, sorry, Charlie. We're going to do it anyway. Panic in D.C. Blackmail versus Senate and House, parenthesis, bridge, fake news media, bridge. Being used to apply leverage against POTUS and or force impeachment hearings based on mental state, potential release of state secrets, sources, and methods. What he's saying is that there's panic in D.C. They're doing everything they can. They're trying to blackmail the Senate and the House as well as the president, trying to stop, and they're using the fake news media, trying to stop all of these secrets from being released. Next post, same day. Panic in D.C. Lynch talking. In other words, the former Attorney General Loretta Lynch is now talking, and she's spilling all the beans, and she's probably saying, okay. So when we have the tarmac meeting between me and Bill Clinton, let me tell you what we really talked about, because it wasn't grandchildren. Here's what Bill Clinton wanted. He wanted me, and he got on his knees, put his hands in the prayer position under his chin, says, please, Mrs. Attorney General, please do not arrest my wife. Yes, you and I both know she deserves to be arrested, but please don't arrest her. Same day, next post. Panic in D.C. Sessions and Huber weekend meetings. You know what it's saying? It's saying, brothers and sisters, we're about to start rounding up those 50,000 individuals. Same day, next post. Panic in D.C. Sessions class letter to SC justices 1 and 2, colon. Now, here's what it says so far. It says Jeff Sessions has written a classified letter to the Supreme Court justices, the SC is Supreme Court justices, 1 and 2, referencing recusal, unrecusal, and clarity, referencing conflicts based upon unclassified material, and then he has in brackets today, highest court authority approval. Now let me tell you what that just said. It just said that Jeff Sessions just got permission from the Supreme Court that he could unrecuse himself and that he could take back over control of the Attorney General position because several of the posts from Q has said that Rod Rosenstein, the acting deputy Attorney General, is about to be arrested. Okay, so my question today is, they've moved the EAM, the emergency alert message, to October 3rd. So is it going to be that on October 3rd, the 50,000 people would begin to get rounded up? Well, truth is, I don't know, but I got some information I got to tell you. I'm going to have to skip that because that's some really good information, but I don't have time to get to that. Maybe another day. Okay, so here it is. Now, you remember I read a paragraph from this, but this was on one of Q's posts. So I went back and I read the whole thing. Matter of fact, I read it twice, and I was shocked. Sometimes you got to look at every little word, and I got some words here that are real powerful. December 21, 2017. This is the executive order that Trump signed. Headline, executive order blocking the property of persons involved in serious human rights abuse. Okay, that's pedophilia or corruption. Now, we don't want people doing pedophilia. But our issue right now is the corruption in our government. That's the main. So when I read this, listen to the word corruption. I'm going to skip the first paragraph because it basically says, by the authority given me president, blah, blah, blah. I, Donald J. Trump, President of the United States of America, find that the prevalence and severity of human rights abuse, and here's the word, corruption. And it goes on to say the corruption is real bad. We're skipping the human rights abuse part of it. The corruption that undermines values. And then it says, the United States seeks to impose tangible and significant consequences on those who commit serious human rights abuse or corruption. Now let's go down to the next paragraph. And he says, I therefore determine that, and I'm going to skip part of it here, corruption around the world constitutes an extraordinary threat to the national security, foreign policy, and economy of the United States. And listen to this. I told you to remember those two words. I'm about to read those same two words in this document, this executive order. I hereby, here they are, declare a national emergency to deal with that threat. And all of a sudden I saw, okay, that's what he was really doing. What he's really doing, as of back to December 21, this was right after the whole plot between Sessions and Huber was hired, and his 470 dogged investigators. This was back in the time they set this whole thing up. President Trump declared a national emergency. Now, what does he go on to say? He basically says, I'm passing a law, an executive order. I'm declaring a national emergency, and whoever's corrupt is gonna get arrested. Now, I'm going to give you a little bit more details, but that's essentially what it's saying. Now, listen to this. Section 1, all property and interests in property, not just the property, but the interests in the property. Do you think that that means all of Bill and Hillary Clinton's money, all of their assets, all of their bank accounts, everything they own is about to be owned by the federal government? Maybe they could use it to pay off our national debt, part of what the Clintons stole from our nation through the years. All property and interest in property that are in the United States, that hereafter come within the United States, or that are hereafter come within the possession or control of any U.S. state's person, are the following persons blocked and may not be transferred, paid, exported, withdrawn, or otherwise dealt in. In other words, we're going to take your assets. We're going to take your wealth, Hillary Clinton. Let's go on, skipping a little bit here. Any foreign person determined by the Secretary, here's who determines it. The Secretary of Treasury, okay, that's Steve Mnuchin, good guy, in consultation with the Secretary of State, and that's Mike Pompeo, another good guy, and the Attorney General. Again, the Attorney General is not Rod Rosenstein. That's Jeff Sessions. And what I just read for you is the Supreme Court has just said he can unrecuse himself. Meaning, brothers and sisters, it may be that the string is about to be pulled. Maybe the lock is about to be removed. Maybe the door is about to be opened. Maybe, just maybe, come October 3rd, we're going to see a national emergency. A national emergency that rounds up some 50,000. By the way, sources, how do I say this? Some friends I know say 20,000 of them have already secretly been rounded up. But you see, you can't arrest a Bill and a Hillary Clinton with it not making news, you understand. Now, some people can be rounded up and there's no news. But some people, I mean, you can't arrest a Rod Rosenstein or a Peter Strzok or a Lisa Page, which, by the way, Lisa Page is supposedly talking, and now Loretta Lynch is now talking, so says Q. You see what I'm saying, brothers and sisters? Now, that tells me a couple of things. Tells me that we are just about to see, we may be just about to see judgment hit our nation. And that's what the Lord told Pastor Massey, that God told him that God is about to judge. As a matter of fact, also Salvaredge, Prophet Salvaredge, God told him that God is about to judge the leadership in this nation. That's what you call judgment. All right, well, what did the Lord tell me August 8th of 2015? I heard an audible voice. I promise I heard it. And it said, this is the time of miracles. And then he downloaded it to my heart as the judgment hits, so will the miracles. That God is going to show up to meet the devil step by step, inch for inch, pound for pound. Everything he does, God is going to do better. Yes, the Antichrist and the false prophet, when they're down there in the Holy of Holies, then we're going to have the two witnesses, which is going to be Moses and John the Revelator. Get my book when it comes out. And I'll prove to you. Matter of fact, I got 8 reasons for each of them why they are, in fact, the two witnesses. So we got the two witnesses walking up and down the streets of Jerusalem, meaning, brothers and sisters, it may be that judgment begins in our nation October 3rd with the roundup of some 50,000 dastardly, evil, corrupt people, and it may very well be that shortly after that, we begin to see 7-fold miracles. You see, this is the time of Jeremiah 51, verse 7. 51 verse 7 says, we would have healed Babylon, but she is not healed. Forsake her, and let every man return into his own country. Well, I want to believe that we can heal this nation, but the angel that spoke to Dimitri said it ain't going to happen. I also want to believe that we can soften or delay the judgment. That I do think we can do. But it all starts with our prayer and our fasting, which is why you ought to be a part of the Fast Track team. And again, I want to thank you again for your support. And you're listening. God bless.